everyone. My name is Nicole with the RBS team at AWG. I want to introduce Mr. Larry Miller and Ms. Lacey Boyer. They're here with Smart Retail Solutions, and they want to talk about the ProfitTrax enterprise, the system for profitable selling and 15% shrink reduction.
Thank you. Well, good afternoon. I come from Scottsdale, Arizona, so I'm never sure what time zone I'm in. So that's my story for the bit at the beginning. So I welcome everyone. I see a lot of our partners in the room, and I really appreciate you sitting in. We're going to talk today about what is technology and how do we really reduce shrink loss, but I really want to twist that around for you. I want to talk about how to grow your gross margins. Everybody knows intellectually that reducing shrink raises the gross margin. But I don't want to focus on the negative part of shrink. I want to focus on the optimal part of growing your grosses without raising prices. So what we do at ProfitTrax and Smart Retail Solutions is we guarantee that result. We guarantee 15% shrink reduction in 120 days to grow your gross margin. That normally accounts for about a 15 to 19% increase in gross margins. Why do I guarantee it? Number one, because I've never missed. In 30 years, I've never missed. We have great partners, and all we really need to do is execute it. From an IT standpoint, it is a technology, but there's no lift to you for the technology. You just send us data, we consume it, we eat it, and we return it with a result. So a little bit about me. I've been around for an awful long time. I started the National Supermarket Research Group to measure the reasons shrink exists in your stores. In most cases, it's not theft. In most cases, it's behavioral. It's the practices that should be being followed that are not being followed. So I don't spend a lot of time here. I'd like to spend more time here. I've worked as every single one of these retailers, and the importance of that is this. I learn everywhere I go. We have a system that guarantees shrink reduction, that guarantees to streamline and simplify work for your managers. That has to be better, faster, smarter than they're using today. It has to be easy to use and easy to implement. So we do a lot of things similar, but definitely different than what stores do today. What we've learned is that technology is great. I love technology, but technology is not the solution. Technology is only good when people use it, and that people will only use it when the juice is worth the squeeze, when the effort that you're asking them to employ actually makes their life easier and gets them the result we're trying to get. We learned that because in 1991, we founded the National Supermarket Shrink Survey, the Cornell University Best Practices on Loss Prevention and how to optimize that in supermarkets. And then we wrote the best practices for the industry a number of years ago that are still used in many, many companies today. Here's where shrink is in your stores in all supermarkets nationally. Shrink generally is 73% caused by a breakdown in operational best practices. Yes, sir, take pictures anytime you want. Anybody who wants to take pictures, take pictures. If you want this presentation, email me, come to my booth out front, and I'll be more than happy to give it to you. The point is 73% is operational, which means a breakdown in operational best practices. If I'm not talking fast enough for everyone, you'll be able to get a recording from AWG after the sessions. But of the 73% of the breakdown in operational best practices, we have to focus on ordering. We have to get the right products in the store when we need them and make sure that we produce them in the right quantities, store them in the back room for the shortest amount of time we can to get them out on the sale, and then out on sale, handle them, and then make sure that we're doing the following. Please write this down if you have any interest in really reducing shrink. Here's your key. Get it in, get it out, and get it sold. If we do those three things and simplify the process, every store will be more successful than they are today. So when we talk about a technology, I would like to share with you that this is the technology. The technology has four vital parts. Number one, your people. We are a people-centric company. Everything we do is about making your folks more efficient and more effective. Two different words, very similar but very different. Efficiency means the fewest steps between execution, the fewest steps to your end result goal of getting it in, getting it out, getting it sold, and then more effective to reduce your shrink and grow your profits. Guaranteed. Continuous training. Too many companies during the pandemic, which is gone, right? History gone behind us. We have to look forward now. And the technology that we want to do is consistent training of the people who will execute in the stores to do what we need them to do, and then we employ an actual technology, that which we all think of as technology. And then focused leadership. Many, many technologies out in the marketplace today are employed at the office or employed in the stores. I believe that we must have one integrated system where everybody's in the boat rowing together, where we have all the supervisors, all the product directors, all the merchandisers, all the store managers, all the department managers, all using the same system. So that when the supervisors come into the store, they're looking for exactly what you have asked the stores to execute. When you have an enterprise approach to the technology of people, training, technology, and leadership, then we start to win at a much higher level. I call that a profit system. Now, my product is ProfitTrax. We guarantee 15% shrink reduction in 120 days. We guarantee up to a 5-to-1 ROI in that 120 days. That's an annualized number, but we guarantee both of those numbers because we have to change the way people do what they do in order to be more effective. We can't do the same thing we've always done and expect a better result. We have to be able to do different. We have to be able to improve without being radical in how we do that. We have to be able to do that. So the system looks like this. This is a pass out that you'll get in the back of the room if you're interested. It starts with a dashboard up front, then augmented intelligence. It thinks and has an intelligence factor built within the technology that does not show you in data insights, because data insights are exactly that. It's data. ProfitTrax shows you what to do to improve the data, and it shows you in plain English. I've always said, and I've said for 25 years, if your store managers and store teams can read plain English, I can help them add profit. I guarantee it every single day. So what happens is this. The people come into play first. We have to train the people, we have to educate the people. Then we add analytics, then we add best practices. And when those 2-3 things come together effectively, what comes out from the middle is profit every single time. So that's what we do. That's how we do it in a nutshell. And this is what we guarantee. So if anybody's interested in improving their gross margins, improving the way store managers operate, we guarantee these results every single day, and we guarantee we will not miss. We start with training. I told you people are at the center of everything we do. We're a people-centric company. So nobody sees in the stores our technology before we get all the store managers together and all the supervisors together and train them in the best practices of running a better business. Because I really like to tell you that I don't talk about store managers, I talk about business managers. We have to take them out of the tactical zone of thinking about their store as a store and take them into a more strategic view of how do I run my business? General Motors runs a business the same way you do. They get raw materials in the back door, they formulate it into the product they want to sell, and they get it out the front door to their dealers who have to get it into their inventory, and then get it sold. Get it in, get it out, get it sold. Doesn't matter whether it's General Motors or Cosentino's or Ball's or Harps. It doesn't matter what company it is, it's all the same. That's teaching best business practices, and that's exactly what we do. We start that whole process with what I call the vital role of inventory control. I told you 73% of all shrink or lost gross margin profit erosion in the stores is caused by a breakdown in operational best practices. These are the best practices of inventory management or inventory optimization. Buyers buy product, stores order product, stores receive product, stores get the product in their back door. They have to make sure that they received it, then they production plan it, space allocate it for sales, and they have to be able to manage turns. ProfitTrax manages, looks at, optimizes inventory turns in your store. We look at every single item in your store, from cucumbers and bananas and ground beef to Hellmann's mayonnaise, and we know exactly what you sell in your store individually and stores collectively every single day. We know the movement by hour, by day of every item in your store, and we use that to direct store teams and direct the companies how to optimize those turns. and how to get rid of those items in each category that are costing you gross margin so that we optimize the category. It all starts with ordering. I mentioned that earlier. Then we go to what we call the rule of three. That's all part of the get it in, get it out, and get it sold mindset that every store manager has to understand. Then we record 100% of what shrink we have, and we make sure that we're following all the principles of best practices. We call that the total store manager principles of best practices to get it in, get it out, and get it sold. That's your story. That's what we really need to think about. That's what we need to train and condition and retrain every manager. How many of you have managers that have been in the business for 30 years or more? Please raise your hand. Oh, even worse. How many of you have been in the business for 30 years or more? Okay, you're under the test now. How about 35 years? 40 years? I'm watching you, Kim. 45 years. Wow. Greg, no, don't put your hand down yet. I'm not done with you. 50 years. There's always somebody. There's always one in every crowd that beats me. All right, I have 48 years in the industry. We've been training store managers and store teams and supervisors for almost that long. We actually went out on the road 35 years ago, and we've been teaching, training people to make more money ever since. This is the dashboard of the ProfitTrax system. It puts all of your P&L vital factors in one place. Very important that we bring it all together, because as you look at sales and you look at shrink, and you look at out of stocks, and you look at your incoming gross margin called the gig, you're going in gross, and we look at opportunity cashiers, those cashiers that might be costing you money through errors, fraud, or mistakes. All of that gets into one business management system, one time, so everybody can see it. But then we have a drill down process. Every single one of these factors can be drilled down on to get to the granular view. We call it the 3-click rule. You should be able to get from your dashboard, where everything is brought together in one place, to the granular information in less than 3 clicks. So yeah, right, it's pretty neat, isn't it? Yeah, it's pretty cool, 3 clicks. So if you want to know what your top selling items are in any store, in any department of any store or the company, if the meat supervisor wants to know what his top selling items are exactly, not what they are, but how many steaks did he sell in every single store? How much 3-pound ground beef did he sell individually by every store in any day of the week? We keep all that data for 15 months. So that when Easter's coming up, we can go back to last year and tell you what exactly you sold last year in each and every store, in each and every department. Then we can tell you how much shrink you suffered in the 2 weeks after Easter last year, and precisely what those items are. But if we click on those items, we then say, what does it all mean? I don't care about too much data. I want to know what to do to improve my data. We take all that data, we throw it over to the right-hand side, we compare it to your store goals, and we present you with an action plan in plain English for every store, in every department in every store, every supervisor. That's where we get the 5-to-1 ROI. We get everyone in the boat fiercely rowing in the same direction. So everybody knows what are my actions necessary to get to my end result of higher gross margin because of less shrink. The ProfitTrax system applies proprietary data logic, that augmented intelligence, to interpret your data. You've been in the business a long, long time, as have I. Not as long as we're going to be, but a long time. If you look at the spreadsheet of numbers and I look at the spreadsheet of numbers, we might very well come up with a different answer, a different direction. That's where technology starts to fail. We want to get everyone understanding the data and its meaning and its value, and then what to do to correct it. In this case, the sales action alert reads, this is a high priority alert. Please investigate your fresh meat variety per the company plan because your sales were below your goal. Or we have a known loss or shrink alert. This is a high priority alert because meat known loss of 1.30% is too far below your goal, indicating that you either ran out of stock, you didn't have enough product on sale, or somebody just didn't record it. Here's your philosophy when it comes to recording shrink. You'll get pushback every single time, all the time, forever. We have to manage our way to this. If you can see it, you can fix it. If you can't see it, you'll never fix it. You'll just price to accommodate it. So we have to have that system in place to do it. Come back. Every plain English action alert is highlighted with a click here for detail. The click here for detail takes you exactly, that's the second click. We went from the command screen to the Profit Walk plain English to the granular data of exactly what made up that data. And the Profit Walk plain English was how to improve that data. All of that comes together. I do the exact same thing with known loss, all of your shrink. The shrink comes in, we tell you exactly what it was, how many you sold, how many you shrunk, what was your shrink percentage, and then what was the reason for it being reduced. All of that is done by the software. You don't have to do a thing. You just send us the data, we consume the data. I like to say it's like Pac-Man, we just eat the data. Anybody doesn't know what Pac-Man was? You do? Okay, good. Because otherwise you're way too young to be in this session. The point is, we give you all the data in less than 3 clicks, and we tell the stores and the supervisors exactly what to do. As I said, we keep all that data for 15 months. So you can check any item, any department, any week, any month, every 6-week period, all the way back for 15 months, and then be able to forecast and predict exactly what is going to happen to you in the next 2 weeks. Every bit of this is up in the cloud. You can get it on your desktop, your laptop, your tablet, or your smartphone. If you're sitting right here, right now, today, give you an example, John Stanzi could take out his smartphone and check every one of his 31 stores sitting right here during my session, but then he would miss all the important stuff I'm getting ready to tell you. But he already knows it, so it would be okay with me. You looked this morning. Bottom line is this: when it comes to putting in a system of people using technology to get a desired result, there is no hardware to buy, no software to buy, no dashboard to build, no HR to allocate, no IT to really allocate. Once the system is set up one time with automated jobs to send me your T-logs from every store every night, to send me your scanned out shrink from every store every night, you're done. Happens one time, you're done, unless you change it. Then I don't get the right information and I need the right information. We also have dedicated merchant analytics. Merchant analytics is a streamlined category management system that is a module of ProfitTrax. It pays for everything in ProfitTrax in about the first 90 days of using it. Everybody that has ever implemented the merchant analytics paid for the system in the first 90 to 120 days for the entire year. That's an ROI we can't miss, folks. We can't miss that ROI. That's too critical to make our company more stable, more strong. I call it building internal muscle. The dashboard for merchant looks like this. It has a number of different factors. In this case, I'm going to share with you just what we call truck to trash. That is every single item that you threw away $1 more than you actually sold. How many people can tell me those items in your stores today? It's a total drop dead moneymaker because we all have them, and we've proven it time and time again. Companies are making $400,000 and $500,000 a year with this one module, which, by the way, is way more than the whole system costs. We do it for every single department. We identify it for every single department. It updates every single 90 days. So as your inventory stops turning and you start throwing it away because of being out of date or just poor product because you want to refresh your inventory and get better inventory total turns, we refresh it every 90 days. So in this case, we only want you to look at merchant every 90 days. And it takes about an hour every 90 days to thin out, to optimize your inventory, to optimize your turns by category. You can do it by category, you can do it for the entire grocery department, you can do it in meat department, deli department, bakery department. We don't care what department. We'll help you do it if you don't have the manpower to do it. Then we have a fresh item production planner is also a part of the module, a module of the ProfitTrax overall system. I told you earlier that we monitor every single item that you sell in every single store, in every single department, by day, by week, by month, by months, by year, by 15 months. We know exactly how many rolls in the bakery department you're going to sell on Thursday between 9 and noon. I can do ground beef between 9 and 2, and then we regrind at 2 for 2 to 10 or 2 to open up the next morning because it's all done by hour of the day. Everything is broken down for you to guide your store teams to the best possible result. So here's an example of bread and rolls. Here's an example of value-added fruit in all of the produce departments. Value-added fruit, of course, carries an excellent gross margin, and you never want to run out of it, but you don't want it to also gather the water in the bottom of the container. We want to optimize its production, optimize its quantity, so we turn it. Because the yellow big screen was what? Who remembers the yellow big screen? Who? John, are you a retailer? You're a smart one, too. He didn't even write that down. Get it in, get it out, get it sold. It goes for value-added fruit, goes for rolls, goes for ground beef, goes for everything in the store, for deli sandwiches. Most often we find that 30% of the sandwiches in your deli that your deli department takes time to produce shouldn't be sold at all. They're duplicates of other sandwiches, or they're not selling enough. So we help you optimize variety as well as turns. So you really have what is selling on sale when. Maybe some of your sandwiches don't sell Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, but they do sell Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We can manage that entire thing with the ProfitTrax production planner. I have a sign in the back of the room, but Scott Bain, Chief Operating Officer of Ball's Food, said this: ProfitTrax helped us to improve our grosses 240 basis points. That's a big number. I was even impressed with that number. I think I'm not charging enough. Dave Wilkinson at Strachan Van Til, shrink is down 18% after using ProfitTrax. Another friend, John Stanzi, said, our fresh shrink is down and our grosses are up 150 basis points just in fresh. He uses it for the entire department. He uses it to optimize his variety because there's a variety optimizer in ProfitTrax. He uses it for truck to trash and gets a dramatic result, as did Ball's Food and does Ball's Food. Mike Beal, who is the CFO at Ball's Food, says, I simplify it. I tell people if you want to make more money, buy ProfitTrax. So overall, the system is what matters. It's not the technology. It's not that I keep everything and everything is available. The truth is this: technology can help, but people using technology is the key. The dashboard sets it up. The best practices training excites your folks and gives them a system to follow. Profit Walk is your plain English store walk, merchant analytics, production planning. And within there, if we come out and train all of your store managers and they forget some of it, you can walk around with your smartphone and hold it up and hit the button and show the training segments right on your smartphone in your produce department, because all of the training is broken down into video clips that's part of the system. So in summary, excellent operations really happens when people use the technology we give them. You all have had circumstances for certain where you implemented a software product and people said it was going to do certain things and it didn't do it. And mostly it doesn't do it, not because it's a bad technology, but because it's too darn hard to use. It takes too much time to use. ProfitTrax should be used for 15 minutes every single morning before the store manager walks his store. How many of you have your store managers or expect your store managers to walk their store every single morning? They're just going to do the same thing, only different. We're going to give them the plain English profit walk. We're going to tell them how to optimize their inventory. We're going to explain to them in grand fashion what to do when they store walk. We have companies in this room that say full, fresh, and clean. And that means something just a little bit different to everybody. So we walk them through the store with the plain English profit walk to make sure, and we then customize that company's profit walk so that it emphasizes full, fresh, and clean in every single department. So it's all customizable to your operation and what you do in your stores. The bottom line is this: we guarantee more sales. Because we'll tell every single department what their top selling items are, from 1 to 500 if that's what you want. But we really say, don't think about anything other than 1 to 20, and don't worry about numbers 1 to 5. They're going to sell anyway. That's what your customers are already buying. You don't have to do a whole lot. I want you to promote those items that are numbers 6 to 12 and get the rest of your shoppers buying those items. That's what we're going to guide them in the plain English profit walk to cross-merchandise around the store, interdepartment and intra-department. So we also take in how to merchandise for better sales, how to merchandise for better profit. Things that most of us all know, but don't execute fully. 73% of all store shrink is caused by a breakdown in operational best practices. We close that gap between the going-in gross and the actual gross. We narrow that gap. I am in booth 104. At this show, every year, I offer a 30-day, $10,000 discount to any AWG member that's interested in implementing the ProfitTrax program. And you can contact me in any one of 30 or 40 different ways. So if you don't know the 30 or 40, just come ask me and I'll give you my card. Are there any questions? Did I talk fast enough? John, anything to add? David Ball, anything to add? Nothing. No questions? Y'all have a great day. I'm right out there in booth 104. I'd love to show you more.